It is Wednesday night again. This is the Wednesday Night Mouse Party. And tonight we've got Gizzard Gary. How you doing, Gizzard?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. And we've got one of the naughty boys, American Hillbilly.
Hey, buddy. How y'all doing?
I'm doing all right. Hillbilly got in a little trouble with the YouTubes for no one seems to know why. He's not able to stream for a while.
Yeah, I called out the side chat and got a strike.
Yeah, I told you not to do that. That's going to get you in trouble with YouTube.
Yeah, that stream lasted a whole 8 minutes. Got a strike at 4 minutes and 30 seconds when I was calling out the side chat. So,
there's I think I forgot the link at the top. Pin it. So pinned at the top is the link for this week's poll. If you haven't voted in that, head over there and vote.
It's a very good poll, by the way.
It is. I was took my daughter to preschool, and while we were waiting, I was staring at the bushes, sitting in the car, and I was thinking about when I was a kid, where I grew up. I kind of miss that. Kind of everywhere we had, like blackberries, salmon berries, the red huckleberries. They're not blueberries. They're different kind of huckleberry. Salal, which the berries weren't that good, but when you're a kid, you eat anything that might be sweet.
Yep. Did you ever eat honeysuckle?
I don't think so.
It's a flower that kind of vines up on like a trellis or something like that. And it has this long stamen that comes out of the middle. And if you pull that out at the right time of year, it's got a drop of juice on it. And it's just the sweetest thing. Hillbilly probably knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I think when I was
on fence rolls, trees, bushes, everything.
Hey, that's honeysuckle! Yay!
We would chew on clover, not clover tack, but the flowers from clovers. When I was in real little.
There used to be this sour clover that would grow around, a little tiny clover. If you got a clump of it and chewed it, it had a sour taste to it, almost like a pickle or something like
that. But it's kind of missing that where I live now. You see blackberries, but that's about it. You don't see all the other stuff that is used to when you're a kid. Just running around the neighborhood, you stop and grab whatever out of the bushes.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, well, we'll see who is out there in the chat, and we'll see if they shut us down for it. Sergeant Joe Smith was out there. Gun websites. We'll see if he joins us. I know he was whatnotting earlier. Larry Knopf, the Saint, Vulcan Rumble, X Adam 1, Mr. Bob Dabalina, and I think that's everyone that was out there. And X Adam 1 was asking if I had any pistols that use RMSC optic cuts. I don't know. I don't think I have any pistols with optic cuts. So I'm going to say no. Let me call up the poll here. Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. So this week's poll was best berry. Yes, and I know that some of these berries aren't true berries. I think they're called something like aggregate fruit. But they have berry in the name, so I went with it, and most people think of them as berries. But strawberry, blueberry, raspberry, cranberry, or kiwi. And strawberry took it with 48%.
That was my vote.
I'm not surprised by it at all. Blueberry, 25%. Raspberry at 18%. Cranberry, 5%. Kiwi, 4%. I don't know why I didn't put blackberry on here, because blackberry is my favorite. Followed closely by raspberry. And then number 3 would be blueberry.
How about boysenberry? I notice it isn't on there.
No, but they're so close to blackberries. Which aren't on here either. I think I meant to put blackberry on it because I was thinking about the difference between boysenberry and blackberry.
Yeah, haileyberry's not on there either.
Yeah, looking at the comments, Caucasian Sasquatch said, this is unfair. Strawberry is the most diverse flavor berry, encompassing from pineapple to some lightly lemon flavors, but are also mostly genetically distressed berries, while kiwis were recent development, but also have a limited palate. But the noble blueberry remains both the most prolific and easy to manage. Be specific. And I think I said I like to be vaguely specific. And the goddamn bacon said, hey, I've met some hot kiwis. She didn't have any berries either. Wait, what? And Guns and Water are grapes and watermelon berries. Yes, they are, technically. And how about blackberries, raspberries, cherries, cantaloupe? Nobody eats cranberries unless jellied in a can. My grandma used to make a cranberry ring, which I loved. And her and my aunt are the only two that I know of in the family that made it. Grandmother is long passed, and my aunt, we don't really talk to her. But
How about gooseberries?
Yeah, I was just fixing to say gooseberry. I have a gooseberry bush outside.
I haven't had
gooseberries
They're
since I was a
extremely
kid.
sour.
My grandma had some gooseberries, so I have eaten them, but that was back in the 80s.
Oh, man, my grandma asked me to go pick gooseberries for a cobbler or pie, and I sat there and I'd eat one, pick 3, eat one, and eat enough of them to get a bellyache, kind of like a green apple, picking green apples and eating them.
Ron Wayne said Frankenberry and Snozberry. Sergeant Joe Smith said tomato, and he's saying that strawberries and blueberries and cranberries aren't berries. Mike said dingleberry. Midnight Range said eggplant. Tim Allen, this is another one of those questions that's highly depends on my mood. My two favorite of this list are strawberry and blueberry. Shafty, raspberries would be a layup, but I'll throw in cherries too. I can eat a whole bag, especially when they're nice and fresh.
Mhm.
Us Midwesterners are also partial to wild blackberries.
Mhm.
Krabby Turtle said goji berries, and I don't know if I've ever had a goji berry.
Me either. Never
I
even
see
heard of
them.
that one.
I see them listed in all the hippie drinks, which is probably why I've never had it. And Kevin Gwenzi said Halle Berry. So thank you to everybody that voted in the poll. I have a slight cold, so I apologize for any raspy or sniffliness tonight. Yeah, there's every once in a while down at the farmer's market, they'll have tayberries, which is a mix of raspberry and blackberries, which I think boysenberries are also a version of that. But they're really good for pies and jams because they're not very sweet. So when you put in your sugar, you're not getting sweet on sweet on sweet. But they're really good. But it's really hard to catch because they have a really short season. I like to go down every year to the farmers market, and the Spooner's Farm has the best strawberries. And I can't remember the name of the other farm that's down at the farmers market. But I'll usually get blackberries and raspberries. And I'll get maybe half a flat or so, and then freeze them. Freeze them and then vacuum pack them. Which I had never realized because I've been doing that for a few years, but freeze them and then vacuum pack them so they don't squish. But if you don't open the package while they're still frozen, if you let them thaw, it'll crush them. And last year was the first year that I thawed them out before opening the package, and so I had never realized that they would. Never thought about them crushing after they thawed. Larry St. Johnson's farm. I think so. Their blackberries aren't bad. And I think I've had their strawberries. They're not terrible, but I think the Spooners are better. X Adam 1. Oh, because there's a Chuck Berry.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. X Adam 1 had said last 3 times I had strawberries, they were large, red, juicy, but very little flavor, almost like they weren't ripe. That's something I've kind of noticed with some of the fruit is they've gotten larger and less flavorful. Like oranges, like navel oranges, if you get the real big ones, they don't seem to have as much flavor. Oh, X Adam 1 asked about Barry Sanders. And Hillbilly will be your Huckleberry. Barry Manilow.
Barry Gibbs.
Marion Barry. I first time I heard it, I heard his name. I thought it was a joke. Because I didn't know, is he named after the berry? Is the berry named after him?
Don't know.
My granddad, he had like a couple plum trees, blueberries, and he grew some blackberries. They were Cascade blackberries. They're like as big as your thumb. Really sweet. And he grew them over an arbor to kind of control so they didn't get out of control. I probably about the late 80s, I was real careful about picking berries because they started spraying along the roadside to kill them off. So I was always kind of afraid that, I didn't know where they sprayed or didn't spray. So I stopped picking them. But I like them when it's really sunny out, so the berry gets warm, and when they're so ripe that you touch them and they pop off. Those are the best, I think.
Well, you realize there is certain wild berries. If you eat them, man, they'll give you the backdoor trots too. So you have to be careful.
I've never had that happen. I guess I've been lucky.
Oh yeah, yeah. When you're a young, dumb hillbilly and you just think every berry out in the woods is something you can eat, that's not true.
You shouldn't eat them dingleberries, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you watch enough Daniel Boone and stuff, and you're like, oh, yeah, I can live off the land like Daniel Boone.
Yeah, and he's dead now, so. Okay.
Well, how old would Fess Parker be today?
I have to look it up. Let's see. See, he was born in 1924, so he'd be 99 years old right at the moment.
Mm. Yeah, I've been watching some of the old Disney stuff. Swamp Fox. I think I talked about that. Swamp Fox and the Scarecrow of Romney Marsh.
Yeah.
There's something else. Oh, I watched the Prisoner. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the old British show, The Prisoner.
Mm-mm. Heard of it, though. Never seen it.
Yeah, it's
I ain't watched Top Gun yet. So
the first one? Or Top Gun Maverick, the second one.
I'm joking. They've been giving him crap over on his channel about the movies he has not watched. And so
Yeah, the Prisoner is a British spy that he quits, and then he's kidnapped and sent to an island because they want to find out why he quit, but you don't know who kidnapped him. Did a foreign government, do they run the village, or is it the British government that runs the village? And the first half or a little more than half is good, and then it just gets weird. There's like a Western episode, and Yeah. I think it's worth watching, at least the first.
Well, I was really excited when they came out with the remake of Disney's show Escape the Witch Mountain. I think it had The Rock in it or something.
Yeah. I didn't watch it. I was a big fan of The Rock until he started talking politics.
Yeah.
That really
But
killed it for me.
the one I remember as a kid is pretty cool. And then the remake with him, I mean, it's kind of one of those deals like I'm kind of glad in a way they remade it. So like younger kids now, nowadays can kind of see, Escape from the Witch Mountain, but it was not anywhere near as good as the original Disney one was.
I never saw the original. I knew of it, just never watched it. And didn't watch the remake. I've seen all the memes that came out of it.
Yeah. Well, I think the original one, they had to eat berries on their way to the Witch Mountain anyhow, so.
And I'm usually a little leery of remakes. I don't think they'll remake the Shaggy DA.
They couldn't do it any better, I don't think.
X Adam 1 said, "Don't feel bad. I've never seen Band of Brothers or Red Dawn."
Oh, man, brother.
Oh, it's probably good G-Webs isn't here.
Two good movies, honestly. They really are.
I did see Band of Brothers, but I don't remember anything about it because anytime there's the shaky cam, it makes me nauseous. So it's really hard to watch. And all I remember is I went with a girlfriend and we got pulled over on the way home. And she cried because it turned out it was kind of her time of the month. So there's a lot of emotion going on. But that's about all I remember of the movie. Or was it Saving Private Ryan that we went to? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good show.
Yeah, Next Adam once said, "Never liked The Rock. He's just barely okay. Muscle Baboon. You can enjoy John Cena. Vacation Friends Part 1 and 2 are good." I've never been really a John Cena fan. I never watched his wrestling because I quit watching wrestling by then. I didn't watch The Rock either. I quit kind of, I guess it would be the beginning of the Attitude Era because I didn't like it. And the Saint said Saving Ryan's Privates.
I don't think I've seen that version.
I did. I had thought of a movie I was going to suggest to you, Gizzard.
Mm.
And I don't remember what it was. It's a smaller movie. I had debated whether to even bring it up because I know people are throwing movies at you left and right.
It's not porn or anything, is it?
No.
Dang. I can't think of what it was.
Ernest Goes to Camp.
No, I don't think I would suggest any of the Ernest movies.
I've seen one or two of them, and yeah, that's a lot to sit through. They're awful.
Oh man.
Well, he made the most of it. You know, started out as an orange juice commercial, and he made the
did.
most of it.
Yeah, he had more than his 10 minutes of glory, didn't he? Yeah.
But that's like the cavemen, the Geico cavemen. They tried to make a TV series out of that.
Oh
I think it
yeah.
only lasted like 3 or 4 episodes. Mr.
And-
Bob Dabalina saying Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
yeah.
Seen it.
Yeah, some of that stuff though, like you'll see a pilot come out 3 or 4 episodes, and it's actually a good show, and it just don't go anywhere. Like I don't know if it's not checking all the dots or what, but you're like, oh man, what? Why didn't this thing take off?
I don't know. I hate that when there's a show that you like, but not enough other people like it, so it doesn't last.
Yeah. Well, there was for instance, Kevin James, where he was like the main guy on a NASCAR team. And I kind of like Kevin James anyhow. But I thought the show was pretty dang funny. There's literally like 3 or 4 episodes and it ended. And I'm like, to me, this is better than a lot of the junk that's on TV. It's funny, it's family friendly, and I mean, I'm just using that as an example. And it's like, man, why did they, strike this as actually a decent show? Maybe not the best, but a decent one.
Well, if it didn't perform, that's just it.
Well, I've been told that sometimes that revolves around advertisement. So whoever's advertising on those, if they don't make money, then the show drops. So if Billy Bob's advertising his fishing lures and nobody buys fishing lures, then they lose the sponsorship or money. And I don't know how true that is.
Well, you gotta match the right advertisers with the right product. I mean, if you were watching Law and Order, for example, and a commercial come on for a play school toy that you could put together for your kids, might be a perfectly good toy. And, maybe if you put that in a cartoon that kids would watch on a Saturday morning, it'd perform well, but people who watch Law and Order probably ain't gonna buy that. So
yeah, ad placement.
X Adam once said the show Wayne is on Amazon Prime now, ended on a cliffhanger, and then the show never got picked up. He's still in suspense. I'm not familiar with Wayne.
That sucks though when that happens.
There was a show a few years ago now, People of Earth on TBS. It was about a reporter who goes to a little town to do a story on a alien abductee support group. And he gets in a car wreck, and then as it goes along, you find out that the abductees were really abducted, and so you see the aliens and then what they're doing, and then he was actually an abductee too, and all the people in the group Um, at one point, we're all together as kids on the ship, and it was pretty funny. It was a comedy. Uh, I think it made it like a season and a half, and then they canceled it for some reason.
Well, I don't know if you guys watched it. Me and my wife actually really, really liked it, and it didn't last long at all. But Designated Survivor,
I remember it. I'd never watched it.
where like, so they're having a State of the Union or something like that, and the one guy out of, that's put back in case something goes wrong, he's like down in the bunker. Well, that actually happened. Like, so, the place got bombed. I can't remember, it got bombed or whatever. So basically, all of government was wiped out, and he was the designated president. And he had to pick all new cabinet, new everything, and it's actually a really good show. It was not one sided one way or the other. It was just a really, really interesting show, and me and my wife both loved that show, and it did not last very long. I think it's 3 seasons on Netflix or something, and Netflix is really bad about only doing 3 seasons and ending. So if I'm remembering right, but that was a really, really good show. And in the 3 seasons, they actually finally got to where things were starting to roll, and pick up, and then they ended the show, and that just stinks.
Yeah, I got rid of Netflix probably a few years after they quit sending out physical DVDs. Probably back when they
Yeah.
lost all those movies.
Hmm.
Because my wife and I realized we weren't even watching it. We're paying for it. Neither of us were watching anything on it, so we got rid of it.
My wife actually had joined it when they were only sending out movies. And so she's had a membership in Netflix for years when they were just sending out the DVDs.
It was really cool back then because you could find really obscure stuff to watch. I went back and watched all the old Kurosawa movies, kind of back when he was starting out as a director. Watched Jesus Christ, Vampire Hunter. It was so low budget that they're filming in the park, and you could see people just having picnics in the background in the park. It was not a good movie.
So I actually went and looked up and watched part on YouTube that maybe you guys were talking about Saturday night with Farrah Fawcett and stuff, where
Saturn 3,
Saturn 6 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I watched some clips of that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this was a terrible movie. And I can see why you guys are talking about that. And you were right. It is only filmed in supposedly a hallway of the space shuttle or space system they lived on. And the robot, all that stuff was terrible. I mean, after you guys were talking about it, I'm like, you got my curiosity up. I had to go look some of that up, and oh my goodness. Wow.
I went through a phase for a while where if there was a movie everybody said was bad, I would watch it. I would watch bad movies just to see how bad they were. Can't really do that. I can't sit through them anymore.
I was gonna say, if that's the case, I think I know one. Let me see if I can remember the name of it. I'll Google it.
Yeah, it's still bugging me.
I was correct. The name of the movie is called Slow Bullet. And basically the entire movie is pretty much one guy. And we watched that on VHS years ago. And we sat through the whole thing and we're like, this is got to get better. And it just never did.
Mr. Bob Davalina brings up Eating Raoul. I have seen Eating Raoul. They literally eat Raoul. M. Gabriel's out there. Cowgirl Candace is out there. Heard Planet of the Apes was a good series. I'm not sure. Not sure if she means the original series or the remakes.
Now, did you guys like the like? I assume, if I've not missed any, the latest movie of Planet of the Apes, where like they're in. I'm not for sure if that's the name of it, but they're like in United States and like the one breaks loose and or like all that. I actually like that show.
I have not watched any of the new ones.
I think it must have been San Francisco because I think I remember I think it was the Bay Bridge that was in the movie maybe, but it actually with the filming and the I guess DJI or whatever you want to call it. It was actually a pretty decent show if I remember right.
I couldn't get past. I think it was the first of the remakes where they're on the bridge and the gorillas are running and then they're all like leaping. Gorillas don't leap. That killed it instantly for me. It's like, nah, I'm not gonna watch it. And I think wasn't Wahlberg in it. That was another one. That reason why I didn't want to watch it.
There's Bubba.
Bubba's Triclops.
What's up, Bubba?
Good evening. And I am always leery of remakes. Especially if it's something that I really liked. Because the remakes usually are not very good. Bubba said he's just winding down before bed. He had a long day. I don't really watch a lot of TV anymore. There still are there were a few shows that I would record off the satellite, so we still have DirecTV. But we changed our package and ended up losing like half the shows that I was recording. So there's only Death in Paradise, which is a BBC show, and F1 racing. I think that's pretty much the only things I record and the only things off the TV that I watch. That and Bluey when my daughter's watching the TV show Bluey. It's a kid show out of Australia. I think it's a great show. It's probably one of the most realistic portrayals of a dad in a kid's cartoon. Oh, what kind of TV shows you guys watch? Do you watch any TV shows?
I'll let Gizzard go first.
Not much of anything, to tell you the truth. There isn't much fit to watch.
Most of my TV shows is all recorded on DVR off of the free antenna, and it's stuff like MeTV and all those.
Yeah.
So, like, I watch stuff like Green Acres, Hogan's Heroes, Andy Griffin. After stuff that I've watched, for years and years. But
It is Balloon.
I still get tickled, and I mean, and Archie Bunker, Jeffersons, I mean, it just they still make me laugh, even though I might know what you can remember what's going to happen. I literally laugh out loud most of the time while watching all that stuff. I mean, and it gives me joy. And so I don't get a lot of that joy watching, the newer stuff. And so I just kind of quit doing it.
Cowgirl Candace is asking, have you seen Godzilla -1? Baron wants to spend $100 to import the Blu-ray, but it doesn't have English subtitles. I have not seen it yet. I'm waiting for it to be on the streaming service. Once it hits Amazon or DirecTV, then I'll watch it. I want to watch it.
Yeah. But most of the movies that me and my wife watch, they're most usually on either Netflix or something that's been out for a while, that we've just actually not seen. And the TV, like when there's a series, if it's basically on Netflix or whatever, we will kind of wait till the whole thing's over with. It's like Breaking Bad. We didn't watch no Breaking Bad till the entire thing was done with. Then we went back and watched, at our convenience, all the show. And I know it probably it seems kind of weird, but I'm not one that like enjoy the suspense of waiting from one season to the next.
I'll usually wait for a few episodes. I won't wait for the whole season. I'll wait for 2 or 3 episodes to build up, and then I'll watch a few episodes back to back.
Well, have you guys watched it? I think it's called Jack Ryan. That's kind of a newerish movie, or I don't know. I don't know if it was only on Netflix or what, but that is actually decent in a way.
I have
but
not.
There's a few here and there.
Yeah, Jack Ryan is from like Clear and Present Danger, and I can't think of the name of the other. They're It's a character out of books, and then they
Yeah.
did some movies, and
Well, I married up, so my wife actually reads books. So when she sees there's something out of a book and she wants to watch it, yeah.
my wife used to. She doesn't have as much time as she used to, but she used to read a lot. But the the books are kind of like with movies, where she doesn't like to watch movies with me because I'll talk through them and I'll see the plot line, and it kind of takes her out of the movie, so she gets mad. And that happened with her books,
Oh
where
yeah.
there's a book she's reading, and I picked it up and I looked at the cover, read the back, and I said, "Oh, the killer is either a cop or it's a woman." She goes, "No, it can't be a cop. It was a cop in the last book." And it turned out it was a female cop who was the killer. And she so she got really mad. So I was not allowed to touch any of her books. And
That's funny.
Man. Yeah. Now it's like oh, what is the shows the oh Harry Potter. You know, my wife had read all those books, years ago. So she was so excited when the Harry Potter movies come out. And, it's just stuff like that. I was like, and like, she already knows what's going to happen, like, roughly. Like, even in future, deals, she's like, well, in the book, this happened. And so,
Mr. Bob Dad Molina is asking, does anybody remember Duel with Dennis
oh,
Hopper and the
yes.
Chrysler Valley? Yes, I do remember that.
Yes. I
Was
watched that
that
kid.
wait a minute, I thought it was Dennis Weaver.
Yeah, it was
No,
Dennis
yeah,
Weaver.
yeah, it's Dennis Weaver. Yeah, where he cuts off the semi and then the semi chases him through the whole movie.
Road Rage. Yeah. Now, I mean, to watch that nowadays, oh my goodness. And it's like the whole movie's just him and this 18-wheeler, pretty much.
Yeah, it was a made for TV movie, but I sure do remember watching it. You can still see it.
Mike McLeod said he's been watching a new AMC TV series, Parish, with Giancarlo Esposito, who played the role of Gus Fring on Breaking Bad.
Oh, really? I've not seen that.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
I think Sergeant Joe may be a few minutes behind on the chat.
It's possible. Yeah, it's gonna keep bugging me that I can't remember what that movie was that I was gonna tell you about, Gary. It was I'm pretty sure it's one from maybe the 80s.
Comedy.
I cannot remember.
So another movie, like when I was a kid, I thought this was the coolest movie ever. My uncles, my dad, everybody watched it, went to the movie theater, and this was like the coolest movie. And then like 20 years later or so, I watched it again, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how did we enjoy that movie? And it's called Two Lane Blacktop. Anybody remember that? It had James Taylor and one of the Beach Boys. I
Sounds
drove a
vaguely
55
familiar.
Bel Air across United States drag racing for money.
The name sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't think I've ever seen
Yeah,
it.
2-lane blacktop. And I mean, that was the coolest movie when I was little. I'm like, oh man, this is so awesome. And I watched it several years later. I'm like, how did I think that was the coolest
Yeah.
movie?
Yeah, that's happened to me before. Mike McLeod said there's a guy down in South Carolina has a replica of the Peterbilt truck from the movie Duel.
Oh, wow.
Now, there was an old made-for-TV movie. I think it was from maybe the 80s or early 90s. It was called Murder Ordained. Does anybody ever see that?
I don't think so.
There. Oh, Mike McLean, he knows what I'm talking about.
Who was in Murder Ordained? I can't remember. It's about this preacher who has an affair with this lady, and she ends up killing her husband, and he ends up killing his wife. It's Terry Kinney and Jo Beth Williams.
Was that called Gaslighting?
Huh?
What was the name of that?
Murder Ordained?
Oh, okay. Because I seen a movie one time called like Gaslighting or something, or something like that. And
Keith Carradine was in this movie too. But this is an actual true story that happened not
Oh,
too
you know it's
far
got to
from
be
me.
good if it's Keith Carradine.
Yeah, it actually happened in Emporia, Kansas. Hillbilly probably knows where that's at.
oh yeah, I know where that's at.
Yeah, the guy evidently had an affair with this woman, and they plotted to kill. Well, he killed his wife, and then he plotted to kill her husband. And as far as I know, he's still in prison. As far as I know, the preacher.
Man, Mike McLean's on top of these 70s movies, man. Dirty Mary and Crazy Larry. Oh, man. Well, one movie that was back, I guess, I don't know if it's 70s. I think it may have been. That still stands true today. I would watch it over and over, and that's American Graffiti. There's a lot of stars in that show.
That
Yeah.
movie's okay. The sequel sucks.
Oh, I don't know if I ever watched the sequel.
I don't
Yeah,
think I've seen the sequel.
Don't watch it. It's bad.
You're talking like Harrison Ford, or was it Harrison Ford?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Richie Cunningham. I mean, there were so many, people in that show that, I mean, I love that era of time. And we call them old cars now. They weren't old cars then, but yeah, just all that stuff. That was just, I just love all that.
X Adam One's asking if I'll be watching Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, when it comes out. Probably not.
Well,
I
Mel
didn't really
Gibson-
like. I didn't like Fury Road. It to me it paled in comparison to Mad Max or Road Warrior. The Thunderdome sucked, but so I was not planning on watching it.
The one Bubba's talking about, the car, I've never heard of that.
I think Yeah, I don't recall it, but looking at the pictures that Google gives me, I think Futurama made fun of it in one of their episodes because Bender turns into a car that looks a lot like this car.
Yeah, it says the car 1977.
Yeah, that said the car was about a car going around killing people. It was a very rare car, no driver.
Looks like a chop top Lincoln.
Kind of does.
Now, what was the other show in the 80s about the car? On it.
The Wraith?
No, Christine.
Oh.
Yeah, Mr. Bob's. Yeah, Mr. Bob's all over this. He's like, yeah, Christine. Oh, Corvette Summer. I remember that show.
Yeah, I saw that in the theater. Mark Hamill and
Yeah.
the Corvette.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing about movies is, especially a good one or, episode of shows is, it takes our mind off of everyday grind and gives us, an hour, a couple hours or whatever of entertainment. And so when it's a good one, it's just so awesome.
Mr. Bob Dabalina brings up it's a mad, mad, mad world. Being star-studded. There's a lot of stars in that. That's kind of like
Yeah.
Cannonball Run.
Yeah. Yeah, I think every actor in Hollywood was in Cannonball Run and Mad Mad World. I think they were like having like partying, like, hey, let's just all do a movie. Good stuff.
Yeah, I had just God, it was a few days ago. The opening sequence with is it Bardot? Barbara, I'm forgetting her name, in the Lamborghini in Cannonball Run. She stops and then marks out the speed limit sign with spray paint. Bubba says Loose Cannons. Dan Aykroyd, Jerry Reed, or the guy that looks like Jerry Reed. I did see Loose Cannons. Loose Cannons. It was not Jerry Reed, but he was a serious actor. Played can't I think of his name? He was in Superman, the 76. There's Christopher Reeve Superman. Played Popeye Doyle, French Connection.
Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman. Thank you. I think it was Gene Hackman that was in Loose Cannons. Yeah, it was Gene Hackman. Because Dan Aykroyd is kind of a genius, but he had been tortured, so he went insane. Uh-oh. X Adam 1 said, unpopular opinion, Caddyshack was awful and was just trumped up because of the actors in it.
I liked
I'm-
Caddyshack.
I did like Caddyshack also.
Yeah, I had to say I did like Caddyshack. Honestly, I did.
Caddyshack 2? No.
One of the best theme songs, I'm All Right. Mike McLuhan said car wash. He's working at the car wash.
Seen that movie too.
Yeah, I've seen it. And he said, usually watch TCM Noir Theater Saturday night, some good movies. Just watch Dark Passage with Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart.
Think I may have seen that. I'm not sure.
I don't know if I've seen it. One of his favorite movies is still The Usual Suspects. I really like that movie. There's a lot of people that didn't like Usual Suspects. Have you seen that one, Gary?
No.
It's one I think is worth watching. There's the cops pick up. They kind of do a dragnet and pick up guys and then do a lineup because there was a robbery. And yeah, I'm trying to give a thumbnail sketch of the plot without giving anything away. And while they're in the holding cell, they kind of team up. But there's Gabriel Byrne, Benicio del Toro, Kevin. He's a comedian, not Kevin Hart, but short white guy, Kevin. Does impressions.
Older?
Yeah, he'll be older now.
Kevin Kline?
No.
Not Spacey. No.
No.
I wonder who you think.
Spacey is in the movie. Benicio del Toro, Gabriel Byrne, Stephen Baldwin, Kevin Pollak. That's who I was thinking of. Was Kevin Pollak?
Oh, okay.
And I think there's. Is there one more? Oop. There we go. Yeah, and what Giancarlo Esposito's in it also. Pete Postlewaite, Chaz Palmioretti. There's, I think it's a good movie. Larry said he loved Usual Suspects, but Shawshank Redemption is his favorite. I saw that. I liked it, Shawshank, so much I watched it twice in the theater.
Oh, Andy. He had a roughest night of his life.
Uh, and that's based on the book Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption. It's Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. Bubba said The Green Mile and The Stand are his favorite Stephen King novels and books. The Green Mile, the book, was a lot better than the movie, I thought. I did like the movie though. And The Stand, I saw the miniseries from the 80s. But I never read the book. What were you saying, Hillbilly?
No, I was going to say Green Mile and Shawshank. Those were good movies. I enjoyed them really well.
Yeah, that's I think Shawshank and The Crow are the only movies that I ever saw more than once. And I went twice to the theater. Well, no, Waterworld. I saw
Oh my god!
that I went with two different girls.
Oh,
The only reason I saw it
get
twice.
a pass for that. Okay.
I did not enjoy the movie either time, but that's the only reason I saw it twice.
Hey, any movie you can drink your pee.
Cameron, somebody was saying, somebody that hangs out in the chats was trying to say it was actually a good movie. I don't remember.
Wasn't that Snob?
Could be.
I think it was.
That's just because he drinks his own pee.
I guess. Bubba likes it too.
I think that was basically wasn't it pretty much Waterworld was the Mad Max of the sea or something? I mean, that's kind of what I took from it.
Basically was.
Yeah, but it wasn't the worst movie out there. I have to agree with you there, but
yeah, I will say it's probably not the worst. I have seen worse, but it's not good.
If you watch Saturn 6, you have seen the worst. Or if you watch Slow Bullet, that movie I was talking about, when we're talking about worst movies, then I think you'll finally see the worst movie you ever watched.
Bubba saying the remake with all women Ghostbusters and Dragon Ball Evolution are hands down the worst movies I've ever seen.
I've not seen the Lady Ghostbusters.
It's bad, but I wouldn't put it as the worst I've seen.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Mike Boone said a movie I found a while back on one of the movie channels called The Catcher was a Spy, about a baseball player, Mo Berg, who is also a spy for the Office of Strategic Services during World War II. Julia Child worked for the OSS in World War II. She was stationed in China.
Wow.
She was kind of a party girl.
Really?
Yeah. And Mr. Bob Dabalina said Attack of the Killer Tomatoes it's a great B movie. It's not a good movie, but it's a great B movie.
Have you ever seen The Blob?
I've seen both of the Blobs.
The original Blob.
Yeah. I've seen the original and the remake.
That's about as campy and silly a movie.
Well, it's about communism. It's an allegory for the spread of communism.
So if you drop the communist over the North Pole, that's the way to get rid of them.
And Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, the sequel is worse. It's also a, I don't know if it's worse, but it's also a bad movie. But it's funny because it, like halfway through, they start making fun of themselves, the movies. Basically, they kind of say they ran out of money to make the movie, so they take sponsors where they're writing. Can't remember if they're 3-wheelers or 4-wheelers. That's probably 4-wheelers. So they're naming brands. Like holding up a Coke and talking about Doritos or something like that.
Well, I just had to Google it to find the name of the movie. When I was little, when we watched the movie, it's like one of those late night movies when parents went to bed on a Saturday night. And it's about these giant killer rabbits. And I Googled it, and I think it's called Night of the Lepus.
Yep.
Lepus.
I've seen that.
And my little brother, probably till he was a teenager, was scared to death of rabbits after us staying up and watching that movie. I mean, the poor kid, like, like, say, come on, he'd be over there jacking around the other side of the property where we're like, hey, Sean, there's a rabbit. Man, he'd come running, never even look back, I mean, poor kid was scared to death of rabbits.
There was I can't think of the name of the movie. There's another movie that also had giant creatures like giant bees and rats and I can't think of the name of what it was, but it was similar to that. Mr. Bob said Killer Tomatoes has the worst theme song ever. I don't know about that. It's funny. It's funny bad. It's badly funny. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. And Bubba brings up Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And Zombies are the best and most underrated movies he's ever seen. I never saw Attack of the Killer Clowns or Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I knew it was a movie. I just never saw it.
I did not know what Bubba said out there that George Orwell wrote The Blob.
I was not aware of that either. I don't know. Google's not being very helpful.
But has anybody brought up the movie? Wasn't it called The Birds? Where all the birds attacked everybody?
Oh, yeah. Hitchcock.
Yeah, I have seen that. That was Tuesday Weld. That was like one of her last movies because Hitchcock was smitten with her and was really controlling and basically told her that if she didn't fall in line, he would ruin her career. And he kind of ruined her career. She went on to be kind of, I think, like a conservationist in Africa.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, he really hurt her career. Vulcan Rumble is asking, there are 2 Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, remake or original. I don't know if there's a remake, but I know there's the original and there's a sequel. Those are the two I'm aware of. Mr. Bob, I Googled this up. The Blob is a 1958 American independent science fiction horror film directed by Irving Yeworth and written by Kay Lineker and Theodore Simons. Planet Terror is also a very bad movie. It is. It's B movie bad and not. There's no campy fun B movie ness to it. Bubba saying his favorite black and white movies are Arsenic and Old Lace. I
That's
know
good.
I've seen it and I liked it. I don't remember a lot about it anymore. And Abbott Costello, Hold That Ghost.
There's also one called His Girl Friday. If you ever get a chance to watch that, that's hilarious.
I have
That one.
seen it long time ago. I don't really remember much.
Old
about
Cary
it.
Grant movie. It's hilarious.
For that era, Topper, any of the Topper movies, I like those. He's a ghost. Forbidden Planet, Mr. Bob said, was a good B movie. I like that too. Wasn't that Leslie Nielsen in Forbidden Planet? A young Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah. What I thought was funny sometimes after I got older, seeing Leslie Nielsen like on an old Western being serious. I'm like, come on, that's not Leslie Nielsen.
I didn't remember when I went back and watched the Swamp Fox, the Disney movie. That's Leslie Nielsen plays the Swamp Fox.
Yeah.
I must be thinking of a different movie because I've looked up the IMDb and he's not listed. I know he did something similar to that. Oh no, he is in it. He is in it. I see him on the list. So he was in Forbidden Planet.
I will say something that I remember growing up. One lady actress, that I didn't think was all that attractive at all was Angie Dickerson and Policewoman. But when I started getting older, watching old Westerns, and she was much younger, that was one good-looking gal.
Yeah, Angie Dickinson was always known for her legs. I remember her. That's
Very
what
good-looking gal.
I remember. One thing from a kid is her legs. Michael Clune's bringing up Death Proof. I did like that. It's kind of a weird film, but it's one of the Grindhouse movies. And there's quotes from Airplane out there.
Mr. Bob said, I picked a bad day to stop sniffing glue. It is still a law in Missouri, model glue. It cannot be sold to minors.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if at one time they had a problem with minors sniffing model glue or what, but I did see that on a thing once, and I looked it up, and as of a few years ago, it was still a law.
I don't know. Kids will sniff anything. I remember grade school sniffing mimeograph papers, not to get high, just because of the smell.
Yeah.
But that mimeograph paper smell,
Magic markers.
magic markers.
And then they come out with those magic markers that had the fruit
Yeah.
flavor smells on them.
Scratch and sniff stickers.
Yeah.
Ever seen a grown man naked? That was, to me, one of my favorite parts is when they're talking to Kareem, the little kid's talking to Kareem, and
Oh yeah.
he's pretending not to be Kareem,
I
but
know
then
you. You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
the kid strikes a nerve, and then Kareem starts talking about his stats.
I think you're great. My dad says you're lazy and won't run up and down the court.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I speak jive.
That was funny.
Chump don't want help. Chump ain't gonna get help. Mike McClune's saying that mimeograph ink was supposed to have a calming effect and help students to concentrate on schoolwork.
Oh yeah,
I've never heard that.
what we learn.
So it's like liquid Ritalin. Mike was saying they've seen stores that paint locked up. That's one thing that it was probably 20 years ago when I can't remember where it was, but they wouldn't sell paint to like spray cans to under 18. I don't know if that's because they're huffing it or they're using it for graffiti.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to think about all those movies that you forgot that you've seen that you liked. Bubba's saying huffing paint was the Tide Pod challenge back in the day. I think it's a little different because it's not quite an internet challenge. It was just a cheap way to get high. People that huff, I've never huffed paint. I've never huffed gas, but I've known people who have. Frank Miller, Mike McClune saying Frank Miller's Sin City is on TV now. I liked Sin City. I can't remember if I saw the sequel.
I can remember sitting through Schindler's List at the theater. When that thing was over, I just sat there for like 5 minutes afterwards. I just soaking it all in. It really had an effect on me.
I've never seen it.
What famous actor was the brother of James Arness, Peter Graves?
Mike McClune saying he's not a big fan of the sequel. I think he's talking about Sin City and not Schindler's List. So Bubba, not Bubba, Hillbilly. What you gonna do now that you got yourself in trouble?
Well, I just went and looked earlier as the show was starting, and evidently, as of right now, I can live stream again.
Oh, all right.
I couldn't like 2 or 3 hours ago. So I kind of had with the help of like Gizzard and stuff and a few people, I had somebody kind of check into it. So hopefully whatever they did helped. And hopefully it didn't put my channel underneath a magnifying glass.
Yeah, for anybody that might be doing live streams and stuff, there seems to be maybe a change in the algorithm where it's really strict and doesn't quite understand what a gun is. So just be careful not to show gun type objects.
Yeah, I will be taking pretty much all gun, like basically gun content. Because I did have like seltzers, me shooting seltzers, even though the gun was not in the picture, just seltzers blowing up, from me shooting them from previous videos. Which they had no idea. I could have been shooting those with an air gun or a pellet gun, but I will be taking all that out of my like intro, I guess. And I mean, I'm always one to say, hey, their house, their rules. Those rules are definitely not in black and white by any means, and you cannot get any answers. But I mean, so yeah, I will at least try to abide to all the rules that I don't know there is, but I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, and see how it goes. But last night we did go over and stream on Rumble, and believe it or not, StreamYard works on Rumble is exactly how we're seeing everything right now, except for instead of the side chat being on YouTube, it looked almost identically the same, except for it's on Rumble. So there might be some more of that coming up. I don't know, of us maybe streaming on Rumble. And we actually got to show firearms on there and stuff. So
what's your name on Rumble?
American Hillbilly up, I
American
think.
Hillbilly.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I don't know if I'm subscribed to you, so
Yeah.
when I get inside back on the other computer, I'll make sure I'm subscribed to you.
Well, really, I didn't know how it was going to work because I never went live on there. So I kind of like took a really quick crash course on how to go live. There's a few little steps to starting a stream and ending it that's a little different, but not complicated. And I was able to stick the link on my community tab. And when people clicked on it, it literally just took them right to it. So, I mean, it was not a far reach to go there, but I just hope, everything gets better at YouTube and, we're all good, hopefully. So,
Mr. Bob's asking, what villain was the first German soldier to see the invasion forces at Normandy in The Longest Day? I don't know. It's the only. I can't see it being Donald Pleasance or Telly Savalas. Thank you for posting the link for Hillbilly's Rumble channel.
well, thanks, Gizzard. I appreciate that, buddy. Hopefully, Matt don't need it, but
Yeah, you only got 22 followers. You could use a little help. Not that I have
I think I
much
got
more.
18 of those last night.
I have 53, so I don't have a bunch either.
I've got maybe like 6, but I don't
Well,
do
people say
anything over on
you
Rumble.
cannot get traction on Rumble, but I do have a friend that has 800 some thousand followers on Rumble.
Wow.
So there can be traction. He has no YouTube, nothing else. He only streams on Rumble.
DM Fuzz, you have 19.
Oh, I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have all the. I'm on some other, Rumble and GunTube and God, like 2 or 3 more, but I always forget that I'm on those, so I don't ever do anything with them. Mr. Bob said Gert Forb, who played Goldfinger, played the German soldier in The Longest Day. And Bubba had got it. Gary,
Yes, sir.
what you got coming up?
Well, this Friday I have Foul Territory. That's at 9:00 p.m. Central Time. And then I'll be off for a week down in Dallas, Texas for NRAM. So no live streams next week. And of course, I had my Civivi knife release for the month of May that came out today. So check those out. And thanks for having me.
I appreciate you being here. This is a coming up weekend is an off weekend, so no overnight. So the next chat will be next Wednesday. I don't think there's anything else that I'm forgetting, which I normally do forget stuff, but I don't think I'm forgetting anything channel wise. But so I appreciate everybody that was out there in the live chat. And if you were watching, didn't say anything, don't be afraid to speak up. Let me know that you're out there. I appreciate you being there. And if you watch, I did forget the banner. If you're watching this replay, leave a comment. Anything we talked about, agree with, disagree with, favorite old movie, favorite new movie. Other than that, I hope everybody has a good rest of the night and go do something good.